Swapped is the brand new Netflix original film that just hit the streaming service. The film is directed by Nathan Greno, who's coming off of directing 2010's Tangled. The film also comes from Skydance Animation, which is now run by the former creator of Pixar, John Lasseter. The film stars Michael B. Jordan in the leading role as Ollie, a tiny woodland creature who is responsible for his entire race of starving after showing a big bird how to eat the food that they can only eat. That bird is Ivy, played by Juno Temple, but when they are adults, they swap bodies and have to understand how to work together to return back to their original bodies and to save the nature and area. The film also stars Tracy Morgan, Cedric the Entertainer, among other voice actors. The film is an hour and 38 minutes and is PG. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinnenberg, and I didn't really have any expectations coming into Swapped. I didn't really see a single, review for this movie coming in. So I had no expectations coming in other than, of course, John Lasseter being the producer, the guy who created Pixar. And obviously, there were some controversial readings on the reasoning on why Disney had to let him go all those years ago. And again, when I talk about this movie, I'm not trying to glorify what John Lasseter did or say what he did was a good thing. I am just critiquing this movie on the page here. And I thought this was a really sweet and cute animated film. This, like other John Lasseter films, like in the early days of Pixar, yes, this movie is quite fun. It is funny. It is an adventure, really, film where our two lead characters are trying to find this purple thing that can turn them back into their original form throughout the entire film. But this is a very mature kids film that is definitely tackling some very serious messages in this film. And I think this is a film that if I was a parent, I would want to show to my kids because there are messages in here I would love to have kids learn about. Because this film, yes, on the page, is just two animals working together to save nature, to save the area, the enclosure, whatever you want to call it. But this movie is also trying to show people from a theme perspective doesn't matter what culture you are, what race you are, we all need each other to get through everything. Not one person, not one race, not one culture, not one religion, all of these different things can support the whole world. And obviously this is very much small form, but in this film, all of the animals are basically told in their own animal groups that they can't trust any other animal, that they're afraid of all the other animals and there's no trust there because it's all about surviving to the next day. And what Ollie tries to learn throughout the entire film, because Ollie, who's played by Michael B. Jordan, he is very interested in other animals, but he was betrayed by Ivy, played by Juno Temple, when they were kids. And even though he doesn't trust these other animals, he still is fascinated with them. But he starts to learn that the fact that no one has been helping each other has really hurt all the different animal kingdoms across the board. There are wolves in this film. There are other sea creatures throughout them. These are not based on like real animals. They're all different names in the film. But also want to say, but I thought that theme is really an important message for kids to share, which is that not just one of us, not just people who look like us can keep society moving forward. It needs to be everyone. I think that's a really, really good message for kids. I think the voice cast here is quite good. Michael B. Jordan and Juno Temple, of course, really good. I really like Tracy Morgan as well as Boogle, a sea creature who might know where those purple things are that will help our lead characters try to change back. Cedric the Entertainer is always good in a voice role. John Ratzenberger, Pixar legends, also in this movie. The animation is also just gorgeous. Outside of the animals, everything just looks photorealistic. The water, the trees, the dirt, everything just looks so real. It's honestly amazing where animation has come over the last decade or so. And I think the second half of this movie is terrific. Like, I love the second half of this movie. Now, on a negative level, I will say this is not a plot line, characters swapping, characters learning about other creatures, and that makes them want to team up. This is not a plot point that is very fresh or original in the kids genre. You can kind of explore from Ollie and Ivy's perspective. You know exactly where they are going to be at the beginning of the movie to the very end of the film. There are no like unbelievable reveals or turns that you haven't seen in any other kids movie that you see in this movie. And I think the first half is very generic. It's very like, I just didn't, the hook, I wasn't really hooked in is what I'm trying to say, excuse me. I wasn't really hooked in what was happening in the first half of the movie. It was kind of just like, this is kind of a generic, mediocre kids movie. It got great towards the second half of the film, but the first, I would say 35 minutes of the film, I was kind of like, it's kind of just like there. I'm enjoying the world and the creatures, but from a story perspective, I just wasn't hooked onto the story. Then a big thing happens towards the first half of the movie, and I was like, from that point on, I was on the ride for the rest of the movie. It just takes, like, the first act for me is just just boring, generic kid stuff. Now, while I love the animation for the photorealistic stuff, sometimes it doesn't totally blend with the creatures because they're not based on real animals. So some of the creatures I think really pull off and fit really well in the photorealistic animation. Other creatures do not. So I'm very mixed on doing such photorealistic animation for the background stuff and then not making the actual characters that photorealistic. Like some of the creatures worked for me, some of them didn't. And I totally get that. And again, this is not, as I said, it's a run-of-the-mill kind of an animated plot line that you've seen a billion times. But I thought this movie had so much heart to it. It was really well animated. The voice acting is great. I just became very swept up into what was happening towards the third act of the movie. I think this is a much better movie than people are giving it credit. I am giving Swapped on Netflix a 3.5 out of 5. I am going pretty high, 74% for Swapped on Netflix. What are you guys' thoughts on this movie? Let me know down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.